Hi, everyone, and welcome to the last Academic Senate meeting of Santa Barbara City College for the spring 2022 semester. The time is now 3:06 p.m. and calling this meeting officially to order. All right, so at the beginning of every meeting, I always like to highlight and share the Santa Barbara City College Academic Senate community values for us to think about and reflect on during our meeting. The last couple of weeks, I've highlighted both 7 and 8, and actually this week, because it's my last week ever, I'm gonna do it my way. So I'm gonna highlight 6, 7, and 8. So number 6, ask ourselves, why am I talking? Why aren't I talking? The WAIT acronym came from the Crossroads anti-racism training that many faculty have engaged in, and I know staff and administrators as well. So thinking about this acronym, as individuals, we should be mindful of taking up much more space than others. And then on the same note, we should empower ourselves to speak up when others are dominating the conversation. Amplify unheard or overlooked voices while being mindful of unnecessary reiterations of previously mentioned points. Especially today, being our last meeting together, I would like for us to stop right on time at 5 p.m. So just try and keep this in mind. If something has been said previously, maybe don't repeat it. And then also if something hasn't been said before, you know, a vote is taken, you have something to say, make sure that it gets said. So number 7, be mindful that each of us represent our division, but we also represent the faculty body as a whole. So our decisions do not affect just our divisions. In our conversations and decisions, we will strive to represent our divisions while also being committed to the faculty body as a whole. And I'll ad lib and say the campus as a whole. Which brings me to number 8, highlighting the very important parts of this. Community value, commit to working with an equity mindset and to upholding the mission of the college, which is to foster an equitable, inclusive, respectful, participatory, and supportive community dedicated to the success of every student. As senators, we should center equity in all matters brought before us and question who may benefit from our decisions and actions and who may be harmed. So with that, I'll remind everybody about our Zoom meeting guidelines. So I know that there's new senators here today, incoming senators. So while we've been on Zoom, typically only invited guests on a particular item and senators speak during our agenda items. The public, non-senators are invited to provide public comment at either item 3.1 or before each item is deliberated. So the agenda has been posted and distributed for all to consider. And so today there will be no items being taken out of order. Which brings us to item 3.1. At this time, I will ask if there's anyone that would like to provide public comment. You may do so now. Please indicate that you would like to provide public comment by raising your virtual hand in your Zoom controls. Okay, I always like to give people a moment, and it seems as though at this time, aha, there we go. I knew it. If you wait long enough, the hands go up. Hi, Tracy.
Hi.
Would you like to?
I didn't even know you were next door until now. I just wanted to say congratulations on fulfilling your obligations as Academic Senate President, and congratulations on this being your last meeting. I'm super happy for you, and I hope that you and your family have fun overseas this summer.
Thank you.
You
Yeah.
will be missed in the department
Yes,
over the
but
summer, but somehow I'll manage.
you will manage, and I'm
All
only
right.
a text message and a email away. And thank you for that, Tracy. Yes.
You're
And I
welcome.
am next door. I scooted in right before the meeting. So thanks
All
for
right.
that, Tracy. Appreciate it. Yes, I'm hosting a study abroad with my family this summer and Stephanie Dotson's family this summer with students, but yes, the family's going. It's going to be amazing. Anna, public comment?
Yes, two things. I also just wanted to say, first, thanks for your leadership and pushing equity forward and making it operationalized. And I'm hoping that we can continue on a similar path that continues to benefit our students and colleagues. And second, on a related note, and not sure exactly how we could look at this, but I just want to make sure that folks are aware of the critical housing crisis that is upon us, that many of our students are experiencing and our colleagues will likely be experiencing. And so just want to make sure that folks are aware that evictions are being issued and that is deeply impacting our students and their ability to be successful, because having basic needs is critical for folks to be able to then use energy to study and do other things. So I just want to make sure the faculty is aware that this is happening and to be checking in with students. We don't have a ton of resources available, and I hope that that's something that we can get behind.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder of that, Anna. I definitely have several things I'm going to mention that needs to be picked up by the Senate over the summer. And so I definitely wrote that one down. One place that comes to mind is, in the areas of 10+1 is certainly planning and resources of the college. We certainly have at least a hand in that conversation. And so I know student housing has been a big conversation in places like the board, and they have certain views of it, and then also the foundation. And so I'm wondering if some kind of formal resolution for the next round of senators could kind of show where faculty stand on that, and then maybe help move that conversation forward, either at the board or through the foundation. Quick reminder that the foundation at least does have emergency grants even before and outside of COVID. So just, be pointing your students to the foundation when there are times of crises. I know I had a student have her laptop stolen a couple of years ago, and the foundation was able to help her purchase a new laptop. And that was really critical for her to finish out her semester. But yes, written down, Anna. Thank you for always making us aware of things like that. Any other public comments at this time? And I'll call again for it later in the meeting. Okay, seeing none, go back to our agenda. Okay, so the meeting minutes of our last meeting from Wednesday, May 4th have been posted and distributed. Is there any comments or revisions needed? If none, we will accept them posted and distributed. Okay, hearing and seeing none, we will accept the meeting minutes into our record. Okay, which brings me to my president's report. And really, I gave a really long president's report last time, or a really long presentation to the Senate about Senate subcommittee structure, overall committee structure. That was to try and plant the seed for moving forward. So I said to the Senate that I'm going to send out my slide deck, and I'll have it posted for public consumption as well as the different end of the year reports from our different Senate subcommittees, and for the Senate moving forward to really think about our Senate subcommittee structure, how it's working for us, how it's not. In line with that, yesterday at CPC, myself and a couple other PEC members, Laura Wyock from business, and then also Guyer Schuyler from counseling, gave a really great presentation about the program review overhaul. So I know everybody's familiar with it because everyone did their overhaul, their big program review this last year. And so moving forward, there's still a lot of things to be worked out. Now that we did the program review in terms of like at the program level, what questions are we asked, what goals are we setting, how are they being linked to our strategic directions? Now other parts of the processes need to be shored up. It really needs to be brought into line with our budgeting resource allocation process that happens through our committee called BRAC. It also needs to come into line with our human resource requests. At the Senate, we have a really well-defined faculty request process where it's very transparent and very inclusive, where everybody knows the timeline. We have hearings at the Senate, we rank, and then we give our recommendations to the president superintendent that go along with the deans. However, other positions at the campus do not have a transparent or inclusive process and happen only in private closed door president's cabinet meeting. So in an effort to, allow for more transparency and all of that, the recommendation coming out of PEC will be to look at those processes and align the program review resource requests, whether it's human, equipment, or technology with those other processes. So more to come on that. So one of the things on my to-do list, my president's report today is going to be a lot of my to-do list. So one of the big things on my to-do list, of course, is going to be my PEC final report to CPC. So for those of you that have never served on PEC or weren't aware, at the end of the year for PEC, there is always an end of the year report where you're sharing up to CPC, which is where PEC reports to. Some of the major themes, and recommendations moving forward. So that's one thing that even though my term is done Friday at midnight, that's one of the things that is on my to-do list that I have to complete, which is a PEC end of the year committee report. Another one is the website. So Hong and myself and Christina have all been working on getting the Senate website up to date in a number of ways. A number of our resolutions still need to be posted up there. That's on Christina's to-do list. Hong has been helping me put a lot of, let's call it faculty professional development information on different pages. It's not organized yet, it's not pretty yet, but it's up there. So for instance, one of them is academic freedom. Those of you that have been on the Senate with me for 2 years know that I keep coming back to this idea of academic freedom. What is it? What isn't it? How do we put this in front of faculty? And then another one is going to be our resolution on addressing hate speech and incidences of disruption in classrooms. So remember when we had the different incidences on campus, the swastika in one of the art classes and things like that. It made me aware that as a faculty member, I wouldn't be well equipped on how to appropriately handle that, and I would probably make things worse. So again, information resources, going to the Academic Senate website for those, knowing that they live there so that they can be used by our faculty, because right now we don't have resources like that. Another thing that is on my to-do list is an update on our Academic Senate website of our equivalency committee. Not really talked about a lot through our anti-racism hiring process overhaul this last year with our pilot, but equivalency is a big part of anti-racism work in hiring. And so there's a number, one of them being like, how do you do a crosswalk when you apply for a job? If you don't have a master's in computer science, but a related field, how do you prove equivalency? The crosswalk process can be very daunting. It can be very confusing. And we may be we are screening out high quality candidates just because the crosswalk wasn't done in the right way or given the right information. So right now in our hiring practices for faculty, all we do is link to a PDF of this is how you do it and this is where you can look for more information. So really that needs to be much more user friendly, much more end user friendly for our applicants to receive that information. And the ASCCC has a number of really great resources and how to do a crosswalk and what it should look like. And so that's another thing that's on my to-do list that I'm going to be updating on the Senate website. Even though my term has come to an end, I will be doing that. And with that, you all remember Jeffrey. He's here again with us today. Looking pretty sharp today, Jeffrey. Suit and tie.
Thank you. Only the best for SBCC.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. So Jeffrey is here again with us today, and Melanie and he have connected, and we have talked about, it was on the Senate agenda for a while, but it's kind of fallen off, but updating that BP, I think it was 3105, our
2510.
yes, the shared decision making board policy. And SBCC is unusual in that not a lot, but many California community colleges have 10+1. And Jeffrey talked about this in his presentation, kind of some things in 10+1 called out for the faculty senate to be relied primarily on, and then other very specific things in 10+1 to be, what's the other phrase, Jeffrey? Thank goodness you're here.
Mutually agree or jointly agree. Different
So,
kinds of collegial consultation. Yeah.
yeah. So this, of course, is in parallel with that work of our own accreditation. A4A, accreditation for, I don't remember what A4A stands for, but our accreditation task force also asked the Senate to look at that BP and do similar work. So Jeffrey and Melanie have been in discussion, and so it's my understanding Melanie has this on her radar, so that will be something that the Senate moves forward with as well. And then, of course, I shared with you that really cool planning document that Jeffrey shared with us of like our Senate subcommittees setting goals, linking them to our strategic directions. And so Jeffrey was the author and architect of that. And so I shared it all in my slide deck last week. And then perhaps this is something that Melanie and the incoming senators and the returning senators will work on this summer during some Senate retreat time. Jeffrey, anything else you want to add?
Just thank you, everybody, for being so candid during our March 9th discussion. Thank you, those of you who reached out to me after I put my info up there, to Melanie and Robbie and Ray for having 2 more meetings with me since the last time I saw you. And yeah, we designed that form that Ray mentioned and has shared, trying to consider some of the points that you all brought up during the discussion we had on March 9th. So Ray and Robbie and Melanie have that, but it essentially encourages committees to consider the college's mission and vision, strategic direction and goals, and statements of solidarity and condemnation of systemic racism and injustice to create, align with, and then annually report on their own goals. So that's an optional resource that you could consider or potentially vote on and adopt at a different meeting. In our 2 conversations with Melanie, Robbie, and Ray and myself since my March 9th visit with you, trying to review the notes that I took during that long discussion on March 9th and the input that a couple other folks gave me, we kind of solidified the areas of concerns around committee report outs, charters, and goals, which this resource was designed to try to address, aligning committee goals with the vision and strategic plan, reducing and eliminating unnecessary duplication by committees is something that came up during that March 9th meeting and the subsequent meetings. So that might continue to be an area of discussion at the college. And then especially in light to some comments that Anna and others shared during the March 9th visit, to try to infuse diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, and anti-racism in everything. And so we had that in mind in putting together this draft form for your consideration. And then the acknowledgement that there's still concerns about the bylaws and constitution, but also that you have a process in place for working those. So I hope that my time with Ray has been helpful to her and to you and your college and district. I've enjoyed getting to learn so much about SBCC, and I'm impressed by the dedication of the faculty. thank you guys for your work. And Ray, thanks for letting me speak during your president's report.
Yeah, thanks for being with here, and thanks for all of the guidance you provided this year. Really appreciate it. Okay, which brings me to the last item, I believe, in my report. Well, I guess I have two more. So one of them being, so item 8.4 today, action items, it has to do with revisiting the SBCC academic calendar. So actually next year's academic calendar will be coming back to the Senate, as well as the 2023-2024 academic calendar. It was on CPC's agenda yesterday, but it was also pulled there as apparently the FA is still negotiating that change in the summer terms for faculty, and ensuring that the ability to essentially make the same amount of money in terms of TLUs for the summer is there. And so it was pulled from the agenda from CPC yesterday. So I don't know what, you know, Melanie will do with this. I know that it needs to be handled kind of soon, I believe, for both calendars. So there may need to be a special meeting in mid-May, late May, maybe early June to get those academic calendars wrapped up. On our agenda, item 8.4, something I'll share with you as information instead of a discussion point later, is that the Chancellor's Office Board of Governors is considering changing the pass, no pass to, rather than having it be at a set day during, you know, the semester or after so much time of the semester has been completed, to allowing, if colleges choose, we may do this, allowing for the current COVID pass, no pass regulations to continue on, which are, you have up until the last day of instruction to, as a student, to declare pass, no pass. And so that's at the Chancellor's Office, Board of Governors, Title V level now. So should SBCC Faculty Senate, Academic Senate, want to continue with the COVID timeline of pass, no pass, and say we not only may we, but we want to, and put that into procedure and policy, then our calendars would need to be updated. So we're pulling it for today, 8.4. However, that is another thing on the future Senate's to-do list, maybe discussing it in July, but just kind of letting it hang there so that you all know that that's coming your way, especially because it's happening at the Chancellor's Office level. Okay, now my last item of business, which is welcoming our new senators. I apologize, Melanie couldn't be with us today. She is taking care of some really important personal business elsewhere. But congratulations to you, new senators. I see several of you here today. Sabrina, Christopher, Juan is with us. Am I missing anyone? Don't think so. If anybody's a new senator, raise your hand. Oh, Russell's returning, of course. Thank you, Russell. So congratulations to you. Senate work is extremely important, deeply meaningful, and a really great place to affect change. So welcome to the Senate. Please stick around today to see how, you know, everything gets done, and to kind of, you know, observe, and maybe you have questions for folks after the meeting and things like that. And then your official first day of duty will be after commencement. So congratulations to you all. And I do believe that there is still an open position in the sciences and also health and human services. So with that, thank you to our exiting senators, Devana, Jenny, Counselor Jen, and Russell is returning. But thank you, Russell, for all of your hard work. Senate, especially the past couple of years, has been a wild ride. We had a vote of no confidence. We have changed superintendent presidents 3 times. And I think one of them left and came back. And so, yeah, oh, and Robin, I'm forgetting Robin, I'm sorry. And by the way, Robin, Jenny, and Devana have all served on Senate steering with me for the past 2 years. And so your hard work and time is much appreciated. And I honestly could not do anything of what I did without y'all. So, and Counselor Jen, I hope you forever continue this nickname, and I will never, ever call you Jen or Jennifer ever again. So it's stuck. So thank you for all of that, and welcome again to our new senators, and thank you to our exiting senators. And I look forward to seeing our exiting senators like over drinks, where like the Brown Act does not apply. So yay for us. So with that, I'll move on to, let's see, what is the next item on our agenda? Item 5.2, Senate liaison reports. There is our final report of the semester, but if any of our Senate liaisons would like to provide a quick oral report, now is the time for you to do so. Yes, no? Senate liaisons? Okay, hearing and seeing none. As mentioned last week, our executive vice president could not be with us this week. She is celebrating with the EOPS end of the year celebration and dinner. So she's not here for a really good reason. And we'll see her next at commencement on Friday night. So there was no request to agendize items through our posted process, the form here that anybody can submit to. However, Ana Garcia, of course, mentioned something in public comment, and so I have that noted as well. Item 6.1, we have no items on our consent agenda this week, so nothing to consider there. Item 7.1, our Senate subcommittee annual reports. Why is my screen? There we go. Not catching up. There we go. We have attached to the agenda, should be, why is it not showing? Are several of the end of the year Senate subcommittee annual reports. There they all are. And there they disappeared. I do not know what's going on with Chrome browser right now. And so the academic policies end of the year report did not get in. I told Ellen O'Connor not to worry about it. She was totally willing to do it over the weekend. And I said, you know what? It's totally cool. You can do it for the summer Senate meeting. And she said, thank you very much. I'm going to do that. So I think that we can all appreciate that this semester has been a lot. This year has been a lot. This decade has been a lot. So that is no big deal, but the rest of the end of the year reports are all there. So here's this year's end of the year reports. And like I said, I want you to all to take a really, really close look at those. Think about the work that was completed. Think about the work that can be completed, and think about what is informing the Senate and helping us do our job, and perhaps where there are perhaps some redundancies or faculty time that could be better spent elsewhere. All right, mentioned this previously, but I'm bringing it back in case anybody feels strongly about this. The 15-day notice comment period time, we're well within that now for changes about community colleges providing data and information to the Chancellor's office. So I mentioned before that the Chancellor's office, when they recommend, or excuse me, when they request information from California community colleges, there's no deadline for California community colleges to get back to them. And so the Chancellor's office wanted to implement a 10-day business day window similar to that of California's Public Information Record Act request window. So that's there. Coming up in for something that faculty should hold near and dear is our faculty evaluation and our tenure. So the Chancellor's office is basically codifying the fact that DEIA, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility is mandated and must be part of faculty evaluation and tenure. So in the fall of 2019, the Faculty Association started working on overhauling our faculty evaluation process. And so our evaluation AP has been kind of in limbo since, let's say, while the Faculty Association works through that, and the FA has come back every semester giving reports back to the Senate of that work. I'm not sure where things are now. That's definitely something that the Senate will continue wanting to hear from the FA about in the future. But regardless of where the FA is, if this goes through at that level, the Chancellor's Office Title V level, DEIA will be mandated in our evaluation, which certainly aligns with the work of SBCC of late. So I welcome these changes. Okay, last one. So this one is in a second 15-day period. I mentioned this before, mentioned all of these before. Campus climate and specifically public safety regulations. So for those of you that think about policing on campus and related information, you'll want to keep your eyes on this and or provide comments at the within the commenting period. Okay, that's it for information items. Which brings us to item 8.1. Now, if I had my druthers, I'm just gonna set this up. If I had my druthers, and in this last meeting together, we would do 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, and maybe 8.5 to finalize all of those. I think that would be amazing. All of these have been talked about, have come back several times, presentations, they've been here. So let's see if we can do it. So 8.4 is off of our agenda. And if we can get through 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, and 8.5, that would be amazing. And I can get to Franny's T-ball practice. So let's try. Item 8.1, correspondence education. So thanks to the hard work of our CAC committee, especially big, huge lift by Tara Carter, correspondence education language has been suggested to be incorporated into our existing AP on distance education. So should the Senate accept these recommended changes, the AP would be renamed distance and correspondent education. Now, please let me explain the process because it seems as though people get really confused when the Senate moves on administrative procedures. So if we were to accept these changes that Tara worked on, in addition to our academic policies committee, the subcommittee of the Academic Senate, which has divisional representation, and they worked with our CAC chair, Tara Carter, should we accept these, they would just be Senate's recommendations that would then go to our BPAP committee, Board Policy and Administrative Procedures Committee. So the faculty members on BPAP would have it be agendized at BPAP for consideration. BPAP would go through it. We would make sure that everything, not me, other we, not me anymore. Make sure it's legally sound. Go through, wordsmith it, and then it would be shared out to chapter leads, which for the 4000 series would include our CIO, Chief Instructional Officer, probably Student Services Dean, or perhaps even somebody related, and then also the Academic Senate President. So it would be shared out specifically to chapter leads for review and feedback, but then it would also go out to constituency groups. It would go to ALA, it would go to CSEA, and it would come back to the Senate. At that time, the FA has a rep on BPAP. They're not voting, but they are resource. And so the FA would also have access to all of this. So at this point, what I want to share with the Senate is all we would be endorsing is the suggested edits that are highlighted in red for correspondence education to be codified. It is currently not in an administrative procedure. This would allow, and CAC is already, doing this work because we approved the concept previously. This would allow CAC to continue their work in this endeavor and follow the outlined established processes that we approve here in this document. So what I'm trying to say is, even if Senate approves this, moves this on today, it's not yet in our administrative procedure and fully codified until it goes through that BPAP process, sharing out for information and feedback, coming back one more time, and then it goes up to the superintendent president for one last, they get the ultimate approval. So I would love to entertain a motion to approve these recommended changes that were worked on very hard by a Senate subcommittee and our CAC chair. Senate has previously approved us moving forward as a college with correspondence education. If a motion is made and seconded, we can certainly debate the motion on the table, and then we can perhaps vote and move it forward as being recommended to BPAP. Ellen.
I move that we approve it and move it on.
Okay, so there is a motion made by Senator Ellen Carey to approve the recommended changes for AP 4105.
I'll second.
second.
This is Robbie.
Oh, okay, all right. Robbie. Robbie has seconded, but I heard further confirmation by Robin. Thank you. Is there any debate or discussion for the motion on the table to approve these recommended changes? If so, raise your virtual hand. Okay, seeing and hearing none, do our roll call vote. So you may vote yes if you are in favor of accepting the motion to recommend these changes to BPAP. You may vote no, or you may abstain. And an abstention is a non-vote. So it is not for or against. Benjamin Reyes,
Yes.
Counselor Jen,
Yes.
Ellen Carey,
Yes.
Jenny Baxton,
Yes.
Joy Coons,
Yes.
Dee Dee,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Jess,
Yes.
Robbie,
Yes.
Ruth,
Yes.
Tara,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Trisha, Trisha is not here today, and Anna.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. That is a unanimous vote of those present today. Thank you. Motion carries. This AP and all of the hard work of Tara and the Academic Policies Committee, led by Ellen O'Connor, will be forwarded on to BPAP. So thank you all so much. This is huge, especially for those students that are incarcerated at this time. So thank you for that. Which brings us to item 8.2. Oh, and is there anybody that would like to give public comment on item 8.2 before we dive in? Forgot about it for 8.1. Hearing and seeing none. Okay, in service and flex. So Justina Buller, our current faculty coordinator for faculty professional development. Prepared a memo to the Senate with recommendations on how to perhaps think about in-service and our flex activities a little differently. She and I have been talking about this for a while. I know she and Kathy have been talking about this for a while. We are also, just to let you know, thinking about the onboarding of new faculty. Onboarding of new faculty is certainly part of anti-racism hiring. It's not just about how do you get them in the door. It's also about supporting new faculty hires throughout their few years of service. So Justina and I are talking about that first week of onboarding. And then I think I mentioned this previously, I also put in a C funding request to create a cohort meeting group for new faculty, and then also to create a mentoring program for new faculty as we hire them. So all of that to come. And in my mind, all of that is part of what are we doing with our faculty professional development time, including how are we spending in service. So Justina presented to us different ideas for how we could do in service. We talked about, a short in service to do the campus kickoff, and then altering that faculty professional development time to be more in community flex time throughout the semester. And so hopefully by now you've read through all of this. Justina was with us for a few weeks, and you have shared this out with faculty and got some feedback. And so if the Senate is ready to do something with this, to recommend this, even if it's, not finalizing it today and continuing this discussion over summer Senate meetings, let's hear it. Where is the faculty Senate at with this item? And if the status quo is what we want, then that's a recommendation as well. Counselor Jen?
I don't know officially how to do this, but because we were asked to report back to our divisions, I would like to have a conversation about the feedback that we received from others to see if we're all, Alan and I are ESD faculty, so I would like to hear teaching faculty have to say too. But I don't know how to do that.
Teaching faculty?
Do I have to make a motion, or do I just ask to talk about it?
We can do either. So what is most expedient, I would say, is to allow the discussion to happen a little bit, and then we can make a motion after we get the temperature of the body.
Perfect.
So it seems like Robbie has something to share with us. Robbie?
Just that I got no feedback at all from my division, but personally, I think that it's a good idea. I think these are good. It's full of good ideas that are worth exploring.
Tara?
Justina actually presented the idea to the social sciences division, since she's part of the social sciences, and there was a pretty unanimous support for the proposal. Faculty really appreciated the chance to kind of build on a skill throughout the semester, and also noting that we're all kind of stressed out and busy during the weeks that in-service happen. And so a lot of it just kind of washes over us. So for those reasons and many others that I'm sure I'm forgetting, folks were in support of the proposal.
Good. Awesome. Elizabeth?
Yeah, hi. My department was a little bit split. They had some questions that I did email to Justina, but I can say what I emailed here also. The first was some people wanted like a more specific definition of what in community means in terms of what types of things would count for those hours, because it said that the faculty can organize their own in community hours and they have to get approved by whatever entities have to approve that kind of thing. So people wanted a more in-depth definition of what in community means. And then the other thing that was brought up was concern that if there are faculty that want to do those hours on the in-service days, would there be enough programming for them to do that on those days? So that's the feedback I got.
Great, good feedback. I'll just share, I think that the most important part to me of in-service is the all campus kickoff where we're together. And there's almost this like spirit, like, what is it called in high school when you all get to the gym? What is that called? Spirit rally, something like that?
Spirit rally.
There we go.
Rally.
Yeah, and so we're all together, but also to me, it's almost baffling that it's this 2-day thing at such an important time for the semester. I mean, granted, I'm a procrastinator, but like I'm always sitting there anxious going, I need to get my syllabus updated. I know ESD faculty, need to be meeting with students at that time and things like that. So, and so everybody's putting the last minute pep rally. That's what it's called. Putting those last minute touch, whether it's security, finalizing things, or so to me, it to free up that time makes a lot of sense. And Justina, I think maybe Elizabeth correct me, but I think Justina did have very specifics to how people can do those in community hours. And if you've already done the activity that is in community, that an alternative can be decided upon, similar to what we have now. If you can't make it to in-service because you're traveling or something, you have to make up those hours in some way that has to get approved. So I think in some ways it's not that dissimilar to what we're already doing. And I do think that there may be, quote, enough programming for faculty because the current model for the spring is that faculty doesn't have to do those in-service hours, but yet programming is available. And so that could be a continued conversation that happens at our PDAC committee, because PDAC and Tara sits on PDAC, and I used to, but it's during a time that I teach. So, the future Academic Senate president will be sitting on it and can share that as well, that we still need some activities during those days. So I think that can all be worked out, but I think what would be helpful is for the Senate to either vote this up or vote this down so that the planning can start happening. Joy?
Yeah, real fast, I didn't get a lot of feedback back from my division, but I did want to support what you were saying. And there was a feeling that it's really nice to be all together in the pep rally format, but whether it happens right at the beginning of the semester, right before classes start, that was negotiable. And I would just throw in the idea that when we're all together, hopefully physically in the future, we could do voting right then too, rather than having this teeth pulling of getting faculty to vote on things. So thank you.
Yeah, like if there was, an important vote like Constitution, you kind of strong arm people into the corner and tell them to vote. But that's a really good idea. So thanks for that, Joy. And I think it came up previously, and I know Christina had a similar recommendation to me, which I really appreciated. To do that, we would have to be on top of it because of the weird 20-day, 30-day comment period, all of that. But I think if it was timed right, a lot of planning, a lot of forethought, counting backwards on a calendar, we could certainly do that. And that might be one way out of the, it's my last day, so I'm just going to say this, stranglehold that is our current Senate Constitution. Benjamin Reyes.
Hello. I just want to also echo what Elizabeth was saying. I got pretty good feedback from my division. And we do value the time that we are all together because it's a good time to see others that we wouldn't usually see during the year. And we just need clarification on what those in-community activities would be. So that's what the feedback I got.
Yeah, I think one thought that was floating around, just to share it out now, was the cultural curriculum audit that a few of us participated in, Justina, Josh, Tara, myself, and then Melinda Gandara, and we presented to the Senate. So that was one idea that was being floated around. I'm not saying that it's going to be that next year, but that was the idea of how do we get all of our current faculty to go through that. And that's one way to do it, is like do rolling, cohorts of that curriculum audit. Like I said, that's not what it's going to be. That was just one idea that was floated. Ellen.
So Jennifer and I didn't get a ton of feedback from our division, which may be related to how busy we all are right now too. But I think over previous conversations, I think it's fair to say that most of us would support spreading out at least the workshop kind of content from in-service. I am with you, Ray, around how valuable it is to have that pep rally kind of like kick off, get psyched for the academic year kind of thing in community. And another component of that I think it is valuable are the division meetings, because that's something that we as a Senate I guess we've done that during the retreat, sort of identify what we want to focus on at those division meetings. So I wouldn't want to lose that as a part of the kickoff. But I do think that, just even myself, like I've gone to some workshops that I really value, but it's always like looking at the list of workshops, like in addition to which of these do I want to go to more than which other ones, it's also like which of these is more important than all the other work I have to do right now to prepare for the semester. And I think it would be really good for us to be able to alleviate that kind of pressure so that when people are engaging in those types of professional development activities, there's not that conflict, or at least not in the same sort of level of urgency.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, I'm just going to throw this out there. I know this seems trivial, but one of the big important parts of in-service, I think, is eating lunch together. Like, and again, I know that seems trivial, but like when I was in grad school, I was totally that grad student that would like go to the seminars because like pizza was being served. And it's not just about the food, but it's also like sitting down with your coworkers and eating. I was not a fan of Dr. Benjamin's big long table because I was not feeling like a big long table kind of family then. But I do think this was something Dr. Goswami really wanted to do with the campus. I think I've mentioned this before. He really wanted to barbecue with the campus, where we like this was before COVID, and then COVID hit, and then he never got to do this. But he wanted to have us all standing around, socializing, maybe talking about work, maybe not, but like while he literally grilled for us. And that was something I tried to do last semester with the beach days and the coffee days and the wine nights and all of that, trying to move us forward in like, we kind of sort of like each other, and it's not all stress and work. Right. So I think that any time that we can have that at SBCC, I think it's a good thing. And so to me, that means like feeding people, but it's not about the food. Right. And I say this a lot, like I show love by like with carbs. And what I mean by that is like, if my friend has a baby, like I'm dropping off a lasagna. If a friend is like grieving, I'm dropping off lasagna. Right. And so I think that there is something about this cycle of like celebration and grief and going through all of that, like human connections that we've all lost for so long because of COVID. And so that is like, to me, the most important part of in-service, and not some stupid slide deck that like somebody puts together to like supposedly inform us of something. So, so that's where I'm at. So I think that to me that this celebratory pep rally food piece is the most important piece to keep. And then you're right, Ellen, like the division meeting. I know for the sciences, it's literally the only time we have division meetings. So that is an important part. Counselor Jen.
I just want to mention that, you know, our counseling department, our counselors in our division have been talking about this a lot over the years. And, you know, we have a large adjunct, or excuse me, part-time counselors that support full-time counselors and our students in our department. And unfortunately, when we're called to our division meetings and such, they're left in the department with long lines. This is pre-COVID. And it's, you know, to be equitable and to really, you know, say, you know, support what you're saying, Ray, is to bring them to that table to build community and relationships. And so I would want to just reiterate exactly what people are saying, but to really look at our part-time counselors, and, you know, they're not there every day, or, you know, maybe they want to come in for this as well. But it has been an ongoing conversation, and it puts a lot of stress on our part-time counselors and others in our division, but specifically in the department that I'm in. So I just want to throw that out there as well, that we need to look at that.
Well, and that's really important because, you know, I hear, you know, I know it's not just that I hear, I'm not trying to minimize this. I hear that our part-time faculty, our part-time counselors do feel separated, right? And there is that distinction. Well, here we are, like, I mean, I didn't know this until you said this, but like, here we are day one, and we're, you know, we're dividing into groups. I mean, so right off the bat, yeah. So any way where we can pull everybody together briefly and then go about everybody's business at such an important time, but still maintaining the group work idea. So yeah, I think, okay, so I think we've heard from a number of the folks that are pro. So perhaps before a motion is made, is there anyone out there that wants to, like, got negative feedback, doesn't want this to change? Elizabeth?
Yeah, I mean, my department's definitely in support of like getting together and like all of that crap that you just said or whatever. Sorry.
No, it's
but
okay.
I know, I mean, I like, but yeah, I mean, a number of my members of my department said they are not in support of this if there is not a clear definition of what in community means. And the reason for that is the concern that it could turn into meaning something more restrictive, like later on, if we don't have like a precise definition of what it is and what counts, like for those hours. So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, which, you know, I dare say at this time we don't have. So there would be a understanding that that would be fleshed out if the Senate were to approve this.
Okay. Got you.
Yeah. Jenny?
So I love it. I totally trust Justina's innovativeness, and being on CFR and hearing some of the ideas has been awesome. When I asked my division, the only, I guess, constructive feedback that I got back was a concern about whether or not we will have to have a deliverable, which I think totally depends on the professional development that takes place. But one person said they were worried, you know, about the level of commitment, expectation, and work that would go into something like that, especially that would go beyond the 16 hours if, you know, you're trying to create some great deliverable. So they wanted me to represent just a concern about time and stress, especially deliverables that are due like right at the end of the semester when we're also trying to do finals, and to make sure that if that does happen, to give us fully till when flex expires, which is, you know, May 30th or whatever.
You're muted if you're Ray.
Of course I was. Of course I was. So thank you. I'm wondering with these concerns, if they are big enough that we can't approve or recommend this at this time, or if we can. Jenny's saying no. So I feel like the temperature in the room is perhaps that we can, and then these details can be fleshed out by perhaps PDAC and Justina and others, and for this feedback to be given so that she can incorporate it and things like that. Tara?
This is going to clarify, because we've talked a lot about this at PDAC, as you can imagine. And the in community is kind of language taken from the chancellor's office, and they require that we have 16 hours of it. And it's really loosely defined, and it just means not you personally doing something on your own solo. So in community literally means with other members of the college. I don't know that they define it any more specifically than that, but we can, as a college, you know, come up with those. But I think that could be the work of PDAC to determine it. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think so too. Thanks, Tara. Elizabeth?
If that's all it means, then that's what it's going to be, then that's great. It's just the concern is that it would be more restricted than just working with other people. Like if that's it and that's what we're going with, that's fine. But like, again, the concern is later on adding like, oh, it has to be working with other people, but producing this, or it has to be working with other people, like doing this thing, or it has to be like across departments or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yes, I think computer's acting really weird. I think, so that's the definition of what in community is. And maybe Tara has updated information than I do, but my understanding would be, it would be a directed thing, an activity, a theme for the year. So like the way I understood this, and again, maybe I had a separate conversation than others have had, because I did, was there would be like the question of how do you get all current faculty through, again, cultural curriculum audit. So you would define that activity as 10 of the in-community hours. Tara, is that what PDAC kind of discussed, or did you take it a different way?
So PDAC discussed how we as a college have defined what counts for our in-community 16 hours, because we wanted that to be part of the flex system. So we could, as a college, you know, every year come up with a set number of different various opportunities, a menu, kind of like we do now. The only real major difference with what you and Justina have put before us is the timing. Is when does it happen? Does it happen all during those 2 days in the fall and that 1 day in the spring? Or can it happen spread out over the 2 semesters? But it obviously would have to be a set of activities that PDAC and others have agreed, like, yep, these are our in-community offerings for the year.
Robbie?
I think Tara just answered my question, but I want to confirm that and draw people's attention to it. This in-community thing is something we're already living under. And so if there were a risk that somebody would decide to capitalize on that and make us do something terrible, we're already living with that risk. And that risk would not increase if we approved this, this document here, right?
That is how I understand it. So currently our in-community hours are during these 2 day events or one day where it's, here's the sessions you can go to and you have to go to these sessions. Right. So that is predetermined for us. That is how, quote, we spend our in-community hours. So the thing that's changing here is rather than having them there at that time, they can happen throughout the semester, and it can be more of a like a general training that we all go through. I'm not creative enough to come up with other ideas, but yeah. So rather than picking, you know, I don't know, Canvas, you know, or Google Docs or mindfulness, it would be something that was predetermined that we all kind of do. I mean, I think this is similar to what happened when we all moved online, right? Like when we all moved online, we all had to go through online distance ed teacher training. So it'd be similar, right? And it might not happen at all the same time. It could be offered at different times throughout the semester. Elizabeth, and then I really think that we should do something with this either way. Elizabeth?
Sorry. So like, but like, just as an example, like the English department could be like, we're gonna meet for 16 hours or 10 hours throughout the semester, and we're gonna talk about blah.
No.
Like, this does not count.
No.
It has to be
You
organized.
could use that
something-
as your other 44 hours that you have to fulfill. But the 16 are really specific, like they're designed by the college. They're bringing us together. It's, you know, supposed to be this symbiotic kind of event. And again, the only difference here is rather than us offering like the same set of FRC workshops, and I love them, but they're always the same every year because we can't get people to offer workshops during in-service. They're too busy. I think the idea here from Ray and Justina and others is that this will allow for greater variety of different types of activities that we can do because it is spread out and more people can participate that way, especially like our student support services and staff. Staff have really complained about our current structure of in-service. They can't participate in a lot of it.
Kathy?
Yeah, I agree. I like the new idea. It's always a problem too for some of our full-time people as they're coaching and they miss some of those days. But I was thinking, since Tara started talking, since so many departments need to do curriculum rewrites, that maybe one of the days later, like, you know, in the semester that we would schedule would be a sort of a primer on curriculum development, and particularly in light of the DEI work that needs to be done in relationship to curriculum. I think that's kind of a session, like a 2 or 3 hour session on curriculum, might be very popular and would be something really useful for us.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. Appreciate that. So Robbie,
I move to approve the document.
the document that recommends a new structure for Inflex or Flex and in-service.
Yes, I recommend to move the 8.2, which recommends new structure for flex and in-service.
I'll second it.
So a motion has been made by Robbie and seconded by Robin. Any more discussion at this time? So back to our roll call vote. So you may vote yes, you may vote no, or you may abstain. Benjamin Reyes. You may have left already.
Yes.
Ah, there he is. And Ben, I know you have to leave the meeting. Did you want to give your proxy vote to another senator? Should any votes happen after you leave, or will the business division go without a vote? Or do you have?
I will provide my proxy vote to a senator that I have their number, so I'll text them.
Okay, Perfect. And can that senator speak up if you accept that role so that we all know publicly who that is?
Yes, I'll let them know.
Awesome. So Ben voted. Counselor Jen,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
Jenny,
Yes.
Joy,
Yes.
Dee Dee, Elizabeth,
Abstain.
Kathy,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Jess,
Yes.
Robbie,
Yes.
Ruth,
Yes.
Tara,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Trisha is not here, and Anna.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. All right, so motion carries. So I will give directions to Justina of the Senate recommended way forward for this, and she will be working with PDAC and others on this new idea. So yay, new ways of doing things. All right, which brings us to item 8.3, resolution on class materials. At this time, is there anyone that would like to provide public comment? If yes, please raise your virtual hand. Okay. Seeing none, we will now get to this item. So item 8.3, resolution on class materials. This has been something that's been on our agenda since literally November. This agenda item came up after a Senate liaison oral report made by Jenny Baxton about inclusive access, specifically from and through the bookstore, but then Counselor Jen had some questions about what else this might mean. It turns out that we had two working definitions of inclusive access on campus. From that conversation, it came up that some new requests for things that were being included as materials fees were going through at CAC. CAC wanted guidance around that. The Academic Senate gave that guidance, I believe, in either January or early February. And so then a resolution of instructional materials, royalties, and related content has been kicking around for a while now. So we heard a number of public comments last week, both for and against instructors collecting royalties. There's been a number of all faculty emails about it, as well as we've heard from our OER liaison to the State Academic Senate, librarian Corey Bott, speak on this issue as well. So I feel at this point, a lot of conversation and debate has happened. If further conversation or discussion needs to happen, it can happen now by one of you kicking us off, or there can be a motion to accept the resolution that has been posted and distributed. There can be a motion to reject it. There can be conversation to edit it and perhaps adopt it later. So what say you, senators? Ruth?
I had to pause because I had to gather my energy. I feel like this is going to suck my energy, that little energy I have left. So a few things. So I'm going to say, relay the feedback I got from my division, because I did get quite a bit of feedback, or that Tara and I got, and a few comments as well. So
Just to be clear, faculty generally do not profit off of what they publish at R1 institutions. If anything, they often pay to submit to journals. So I wanted to make that clear. And I think there's been a bit of doublespeak that obscures details about the full compensation received by some faculty at this college. And so those two things are definitely from me, but now I'll move on to some comments I got from my colleagues. So, so someone mentioned that the principal problem is that this material is not peer reviewed for the most part and of low quality, and there are ways that we should review these documents. The suggestion was that it be by peers or by chairs, and that's certainly a conversation we can have later, but that was one issue that was brought up. And it was also suggested that there could be fallout, or that there's already been fallout for transfer students, because even like UCLA, I guess there's some known example that they have called out certain teaching materials as being insufficient. Someone else mentioned that there should be a role of maybe CAC here when we're talking about the course outline of record, that it's a conflict of interest essentially when an instructor who's responsible for updating a core is also the same person who's submitting their own self-authored textbooks. So that was brought up. Someone else said that, kind of reiterating that first faculty member's comment, that this material should be vetted by independent reviewers, and that they would support faculty providing their own materials and even getting maybe some royalties off of it, as long as it was vetted by independent reviewers, and that no other equivalent materials are available from other sources at an equal or lower cost. And I want to say, so this is me speaking as a senator and as a faculty member, as a senator here, I don't think this is about, it shouldn't be about one's choice of material, right? We do have academic freedom. The issue at hand is about profiting off of our students, okay? And so I'm not even talking about, you know, making $400, right? Whatever, it costs money to print it and whatever it may be, okay, fine. But I don't know how many faculty members here are aware that according to readily available public records, we actually have faculty operating behind an LLC that was actually paid about $200,000, nearly $200,000 by the college for required course materials. This was done over a recent 12-month period alone. I'm not sure how much has been paid in prior years, since because of the way these fees were categorized in the past. As far as I know, I don't think that's readily available, right? But in the past 12 months, $200,000, folks, roughly. Okay, that's the issue. So when folks are you know, saying, well, you know, it's you know, it's pennies, it's peanuts, that's not what is being brought forward here. I think the main issue is there are people who are really taking advantage of this situation, and we do need to establish policy to prevent that, because we should be here focused on our students, right? We shouldn't have that perverse incentive of developing materials so that we can, you know, make a pretty penny off our own students. If you want to provide those materials elsewhere, you know, at another institution, have at it, right? But we should not have that conflict of interest where it's happening here on this campus. Front and center, our primary concern should be our students. And this is a burden, additional burden that we're placing on them by doing this to the benefit of faculty.
Yeah, and to me, whether it's a lot or a little seems I mean, clearly if it's a lot, right? But I mean, I don't understand the argument of, well, it's next to nothing. If it's next to nothing, then what's the point, right? Even if it's $1 on each copy, and I don't, like, to me, I just think about, like, who needs this more? Like, who needs that $1 more, me or one of my students? And to me, it's one of my students every single time. I'm, you know, working adult. And I know that faculty and staff have probably not probably, they do, food insecurities, housing insecurities, all of those things as well. But we also have more agency, and then also to have, you know, it to be kind of like the AAUP speaks to, this kind of conflict of interest almost. It's mandatory materials, right? So thanks for all of that thoughtful comments, Ruth, coming from from your division. Appreciate it. Jenny.
Thank you, Ruth. I mean, that was amazing. I'm kind of still absorbing it. And, I'm feeling stuck and torn as senator here because Ruth's points are so persuasive. I did ask my department for feedback, and I heard from two people. And obviously one person is someone who does write, does publish. And so I feel like I've got to represent their view too. And the other person I heard from in my department does not, but still wanted me to make a couple points. So that first point was that this is so well intentioned. There are kind of egregious situations like Ruth is mentioning. And then there's also people who self-publish, and what about the quality of that work? But what this faculty member wanted me to mention was there are other faculty with incredible expertise who go through well-reputed publishers. Their work is seriously vetted, they're national figures, they present at conferences. And so this would be detrimental to them being able to share their expertise in terms of publishing and using their work. In terms of
Jenny, wait. I'm sorry. Can you expand on that? Because faculty can still assign it. They can still sell it other places. They just wouldn't be able to collect the royalties on the students in their class. So can you just explain that
Yeah.
last point?
Yes, so that was the first person's general point. And I think the person who publishes made some points that pick up on that. One of them was that, at least in his case, in order to publish his book, a stipulation was that he had to be using it in his class for a year so that he could get the feedback from his students and be doing revisions and then be able to write like an author's statement on how it worked in his class. So if he wasn't able to do that, then, and I'm going to get to the royalty part in a sec, then it would be prohibitive to him publishing the book, right? So he had to have experience using it. But his big issue in terms of the resolution was with the royalty issue as defined, which, is kind of like general right now in the resolution. But for his purposes, he said, figuring out the royalty information and paying it back is going to be a big challenge. For one thing, authors only collect royalties when a new copy is purchased. They don't collect royalties on used copies. So it will be really hard to tell when students are buying copies. Is it new? Is it used? And so how do you determine royalties based on that? You'd really have to go to every student and see, is it a new copy? Do you have a receipt, etc. And then he said that some students, of course, don't buy the book, they share, they rent, they use a reserve copy. So you couldn't simply go by your class numbers. Again, you'd have to go to each student and get receipts and tallies. And he said that would be a lot of work. It'd be hard to figure out. It'd be hard for students. And then he asked whether any of those issues pertaining to royalties had been vetted by a lawyer or school's lawyer services to see if it's even legal. And again, these are not my perspectives. This is what I'm hearing from someone who is a published, well-known, respected professor writer. And so I do feel like I've got to represent that because he's got a stake in it.
For sure. Thank you, Jenny, and thank you for clarifying my question. Ellen?
Okay, let's see, a few things. Okay, I think I keep thinking of Ruth using the word doublespeak. That that word is coming back to me because I feel like a lot of the arguments that we've heard about this, I keep hearing the argument like I don't make from people who do publish material that they use in their class. Some version of I don't make any money on this, so I shouldn't have to donate the tiny amount of money that I make to the college, which just makes no sense to me. Like if it's a small amount of money, what is the issue? I do think those arguments that Jenny just presented, this resolution is a statement of our values in this area. Should faculty be making money off of students? As Ray so well put it, do we need that $1 per student more than the student needs? And I would also agree that in every case, I would rather have that dollar go to the student. So I think the argument that, oh, my royalties are so small per student is not like, doesn't hold water. As far as figuring out the logistics of, well, did I really, what amount of royalties did I really earn off of people in my class? If it's really so little, donate it to the foundation as if you earned the full royalties on each student in your class. And that's, you know, that's what you can do when you're choosing to assign your own work. Like, but that's just an example. We're not setting that specific policy if we vote on this resolution. What we are doing is saying that these are our values around faculty profiting, and the very specifics, maybe it would be, okay, there's a cap. You can earn up to $300 of royalties off SBCC students every year. And if it's more than that, then you're going to have to donate it. Like those specifics we can work out if we approve this resolution, and then start that long, arduous process of actually developing the specific policy. So I would encourage us not to get bogged down on, not to let those kinds of details and not seeing a specific solution to those challenges be what prevents us from approving this resolution today, because we have been talking about it since last fall. Actually, I think in the context of generally of conflicts of interest since even before that, and I would really like to see us pass this today. The other thing I just really wanted to emphasize so that it really sinks in for all of us is what Ruth pointed out around faculty who are hiding behind companies that they own and are the sole or primary beneficiaries of, that are earning in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, or I would argue if it's even in the tens of thousands of dollars, by requiring that students buy the materials that those companies produce. I should not be able to do that. I don't think that I, as a faculty member, should be able to publish anything, create my company that sells it, and then get, you know, 3 times my salary every year because I'm selling that to students. I've used the word reprehensible before. I still think that's reprehensible to do that. So I guess I would just encourage us to pass this. I know we still have hands raised, but I'm just going to go ahead and make a motion that we approve this resolution as it is, and we then, you know, next year, then with the new senators and new Senate president, we move forward with actually crafting the policy and how that would work in actual practice, and we can work out some of those details then.
So a motion has been made by Ellen Carey to approve the resolution as posted and distributed. And part of the resolution directs the Senate to then codify the processes that would carry out the resolution.
I'll second the motion, and I'd like to take just a minute of discussion if I can.
Yeah, so at this point, now that there's a motion and the second, we can debate the motion on the table. And then according to Robert's rules, because I'm the gavel holder, I will no longer participate in the debate except just running the meeting. So Robbie, go ahead.
My division, very large majority of my division did not give feedback on this, with me asking for about 6 months now. Of the people who did, support for the resolution was fairly split. The people who opposed it generally did so very emphatically and publicly, and the people who supported it generally did so privately. The arguments that happened in my division, I was going to represent them and tell everybody about them, but they're the same as everything we've heard here. And most of them, I think, as we have established here, don't really hold water because it's about profit. It's not about economic freedom. The one argument that came in my division that has not been mentioned here is that there's a faculty member in my division who publishes electronic resources and had to buy, this person said, a lot of expensive equipment to make those resources. So there I've represented that point of view. And now speaking as a senator, I mean, it's hard to imagine what kind of, I don't know. The school buys us computers. We all have computers. So yeah. So that's what the story is from my division. And that's the end of my statement.
Robin?
Like Ruth, I was kind of feeling like I was gathering my sort of energies to represent what's a complicated picture in my division. I also got feedback that was strong on one side or another. I'm sure that everyone here is aware of some of the issues for my division, and some of my division members have made public comment to represent their views over the course of this discussion. Unlike some senators, I received feedback and/or votes on this from everyone in my division this time. That was not the case when I asked for feedback previously. I didn't get feedback from everyone, but this time I think some changes that were made to the resolution, and also just me pushing really hard to hear from everyone, produced that. So I got very clear direction on the vote, most definitely, but I also got some comments that I hadn't heard before that I felt like were worthwhile to mention this time. So on the in favor side, I got a clear statement from ESL faculty about our unequivocal support for reducing or eliminating costs to our students on an equity basis. And that was like the clearest piece of feedback from our area. But also one faculty member pointed out that for her, she could not vote in favor or against because there were two issues in the resolution to her. One was that the Senate should make a statement unequivocally supporting reduction and elimination of cost to students and making that a clear equity goal of our campus. But that she felt like the stronger statement was about faculty profit on materials they produced, and she was not clear enough in her mind what the issues were to vote in favor of the resolution. Another faculty member pointed out something that I had forgotten, but which has been true on our campus for a long time and only recently changed to be somewhat more conservative. But faculty members are allowed, were allowed in the past to change complete salary class based on publication of a textbook. And that has happened in our division with at least one individual moving 2 salary classes based on publication of 2 different textbook sets. And that those faculty are still on our campus collecting that increase over their career until they retire. And that this seemed to bring up questions of not exactly double dipping, but of receiving compensation twice for the publication of the materials. And that was something that was not addressed in the resolution. So those were some. Another faculty member was very concerned about the resolution not addressing protection of adjunct faculty members or other faculty members who might be under pressure to use the materials published by a colleague in their classes, and that given their vulnerability, they would feel compelled, and that is not addressed in the resolution. Another suggested the addition of requiring faculty and particularly department chairs from recusing themselves from decision-making on this, especially if they had published materials. So let's see, what else? Another faculty member did say that she felt strongly that faculty should be compensated for the time that they invest in producing materials, and that it increased the standing and reputation of the college for textbooks to be sold elsewhere. But of course, that's not the meat of our resolution, which would be only applying to students on our campus. She also pointed out, similar to some of the technicalities that Jenny brought up, that instructors have to pay taxes on the full royalties, but that they would, so that would be money out of the royalties, but that might not be reflected in the royalties they would have to donate. So those are some of the arguments that I heard, in addition to the arguments that were already presented at Senate and public comment regarding affirming that for those faculty, they were assigning their own materials because they had custom designed them and they were best for students, and that they had worked to keep fees down. So that's the sort of wild grab bag of feedback that I got from my division.
Thank you, Robin. Great work representing your division for sure. Ellen?
I just wanted to put it out there that if there are specific things that people feel it's important to add to this resolution now to make it even stronger in terms of equity stuff or whatever, I am open to friendly amendments. But I also would just encourage us not to have, what's that saying about not having the great be the enemy of the good or something? Like I would just hate to see us get stalled on that, knowing that we only have 16 more minutes to wrap this up and get ready to Franny's T-ball practice in time. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, it's a resolution in front of the Senate that kind of declares the direction. And I really liked Robin mentioning that idea about, part-timers and feeling pressure to choose certain material. That is certainly something that could come up in the policy writing, procedure writing. Yeah. So does anybody have a friendly amendment request of Ellen and Robbie? Have we exhausted the debate? Are we ready to vote? Ruth?
I do. I actually didn't expect it to be moved forward that quickly. But one of our faculty members actually put together what I think is to be a stronger resolve, and I actually really, really like it. So I'd like to replace the resolve that is right above item 1 on the first page that currently says resolve that the Academic Senate of Santa Barbara City College develop language to add to our existing policies, procedures, and processes that address the following. That we replace it with resolve that the Academic Senate of SBCC will develop specific policies and procedures pertaining to faculty requiring the assignment of their own works to their courses or the material being used at the college, because this goes with that strong arming, right? The potential for strong arming. Perhaps you're not using it in your class, but you could potentially be in a department where, because of whatever circumstances, you have the power or the influence to strong arm some folks, especially if folks are, say, part-timers. So again, just to change the wording to will develop specific policies and procedures pertaining to.
I accept that amendment.
Fabulous. And then, thank you. The other part,
Both people who motion need to accept it.
right.
I accept.
There we go. Okay, Ruth, go ahead.
And then in item 2A is related to what I just said, since 2A, the letter item bullet points are the requests that we make it clear that it's classes adopted at SBCC and not just their own classes.
I approve that too. In fact, I prefer it.
I approve it.
I'm trying to see what else. Okay, I will lower my hand for now.
Okay. All right, so there is a motion on the table of accepting this resolution on class materials that had 2 friendly amendments. The first one, altering the language of this resolve, the first resolve on page 1, and then altering the language of some of the things in 2. Is there any more debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, we will now do our roll call vote. I believe Benjamin Reyes has left us at this time.
I am his proxy. This is Ruth.
Ruth is his proxy. Okay, thank you, Ruth, for identifying yourself. Okay, so Benjamin's vote. Ruth?
Hold on, I gotta read his text. Go to the next person.
Okay, we'll come back to Ben. Counselor Jen.
Yes.
Ellen.
Yes.
Jenny.
Yes.
Joy.
Yes.
Dee Dee.
Yes.
Elizabeth.
Yes.
Kathy.
Abstain.
Robin.
No.
Jess.
Yes.
Robbie.
Yes.
Tara.
Yes.
Russell.
No.
Trisha. Still not here. Anna.
Yes.
And circling back around to Benjamin.
Ben is a yes,
Ben is a yes.
and I'm a yes.
Oh yeah, skipped you, Ruth. That means that we have, according to my count, 12 yeses, 1 abstention, and 2 noes.
Ray, I have O'Connor as abstain, and then I have Tricia has abstained because she's not here.
Okay,
So I have two abstains and I have one no.
okay, one no. I believe both Russell Granger and Robin both voted no. Is that correct?
Robin?
Robin,
Yes.
no voted no.
That's correct for me.
Perfect. Thank you. Got it. I'll update.
All right, so with that, the motion carries. Groundbreaking, truly. Jenny,
Do you, or maybe I can look back in the minutes after the fact, I guess. Will you ever like update that document with the friend, like by changing the language? And when would that be done? I just want to make sure I get the right thing to my department.
so Christina can speak to this on the timeline. As a matter of fact, she's gonna get all of our resolutions finalized and up on the Senate website. So probably when she finalizes the meeting minutes for today, and then also update the language here, or I can do that. So I would say give us at least a week for it to be finalized. Yeah, and Christina's shaking her head, yeah. So about a week, Jenny, and we can put it in front of senators and let you know when it's posted on the website. Okay. The time is now 4:52, 8 minutes left for us. And here we are at item 8.5. 8.5, first of all, is there any public comment for 8.5? Margarita?
Thank you. I have a message from the FA. I'm going to read it. It's from the Faculty Association Executive Board to the Academic Senate of Santa Barbara City College. The Faculty Association Executive Board appreciates the opportunity to provide feedback for today's Senate agenda number 8.5. The Faculty Association Board discusses the matter of leadership stipends and the suggested changes to AP 7210 at our most recent meeting last Friday. A, in response to the Senate's March 16, 2022 request with the respect of non-teaching compensation committee asking the FA if they can take on this item, the FA Executive Board confirmed the following. The Faculty Association will take on negotiations for leadership stipend, also referred as NTCC stipend, in the future, given that the Academic Senate voted on March 16, 2022 to withdraw from this work. B, the FA Executive Board has also reviewed the suggested change in language for AP 7210 linked to today's agenda action 8.5. The FA is concerned about the suggested new language to the paragraph on page 12 that is headlined non-teaching faculty compensation. Specifically, the FA objects to the intended change for shall to may in the first sentence of this paragraph. The FA also has questions about adding the following sentence. Additionally, faculty members who have responsibilities over and above those activities associated with teaching and learning are compensated by a stipend. However, we would like to learn about the Senate's rationale for this intended change first, before we provide feedback. Thank you.
Margarita,
Say it again.
thank you so much.
Oh.
There we go. Thank you so much for bringing that to us. senators, we can do this a number of ways. So again, at this point, what's before the Senate is in line with our previous vote and direction. It sounds like the FA is fully on board. Well, don't let me paraphrase. Margarita provided a comment. Margarita, do you mind sending the language of that to Christina as well so that she can get it in our minutes? Thank you. So the FA is asking for information and direction, but that they will take on this the role of negotiating this and hammering this out, and so the Senate can excuse itself from continued participation in this work. So with that, I think perhaps we can wait on changing this AP, or perhaps you know, allow that to be worked out a little bit, and have this AP come back over the summer, or in the future, or have, you know, the administration work on it themselves so that we don't have to, if the FA and Ana Garcia is going to head out. Bye, Ana. So what is the Senate's desire? Is this something with the FA feedback, now that we have it from the FA liaison to the Senate? Is the Senate comfortable acknowledging our formal release of this work and having the FA and the administration work out the details and have the AP be edited later?
Yes.
Is there any pushback to that? I don't know how else to say it. If not, got 3 minutes to go, and I have never gotten through a Senate agenda. So I just want to say thank you for letting me do that on the last one, because that is awesome. And Jeffrey, you were here to see it. Okay. Y'all, it's been real. There's still more work of the Senate to do. I believe those calendars need to come back for at least a special meeting. We also forgot to put on the agenda to nominate a vice president moving forward. So now that officially our new senators will be installed, those of you that have been on the Senate for a while, please consider running or putting your name forward for vice president. It's a really important position. Ana Garcia has done amazing at it. She's been my right hand woman for so long. And I should be playing my Frank Sinatra My Way on our way out, but I will still be in my position until commencement, and I hope to see you all there for that celebration. And it's been a wild and amazing ride, and I'm so glad that I got to be in it. And I'm so glad that I'm not going to be in it for much longer, and that I'm going to Europe this summer. So bye, everyone. Yay for us.
Great job, Ray.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ray. Thank you for your
Thanks,
commitment,
Ray.
your
Thank
service,
you,
and your
Ray.
dedication.
Good job, Ray.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all too.
See you around. Take care.
Thank you.